Hey everybody, Texas Trucker here, Lance's Performance Shop, Lone Star Mopars.com. Sunday night, just about 9 p.m. Got a blood moon coming up, and we've got a rare event going on. Actually had a chance to run to Harbor Freight. They had a 25% off Icon minus tool storage, seats, and diagnostics, which is a shame. I was considering getting the Icon seat to kind of pair with a welding table. Not sure if it's quite tall enough, but I guess we'll never know. If anyone's doing that, by all means, please let me know. Yes, it would be with a little titanium welding table, because I've just been standing up, and that's kind of weird with the foot pedal. It might be worse with the seat, I don't know. But they had a brand new item I was interested in, and I was afraid it was going to count as tool storage. Double checked, they said it did not, and that item is right here. It is literally hot off the press. It is the Icon magnetic tool mat. You've probably seen these things on the tool trucks, maybe Easy Red, some other outfits. I've always wanted to buy one, but the prices are astronomically absurd, especially when you consider what it is. But with Harbor Freight coming into the fray, $19.99 is the MSRP. I feel like that's kind of where these ought to be. Now factor in, a tool truck, maybe a brand or a color that you want. I don't think you should be spending over 29 bucks for anything this size. Now if you're getting like a giant, like a mattress size sheet, I understand it, but anything absurdly small that you can like fit one socket on, that stuff should not be anywhere near 20 bucks. And sheets like this, and maybe a little larger in my opinion, it's kind of where they ought to be priced. But, I do have to say, I've had a ton of people want to see what I got on the Icon 40% off socket sale, which was like the past parking lot weekend or two. Nothing. And there's good reason for that. It's that I work. I don't know what everyone else does. It seems like most people just, there's a sale at Harbor Freight and they stop and go. And I am at work when Harbor Freight opens, and I am at work when Harbor Freight closes. They don't make the big sales available online, and they don't even do that if you're signed up or if you're ITC or anything. It's just in-store only, and that does not work well for people like me that actually have a job and actually have to go. So there you are. This right here, though, I paired it. I actually did not pay the $19.99, as I recommend you never pay retail at Harbor Freight. There's far too frequent of sales for that. Barring anything extraordinarily excruciating, like you have to have a rivet gunner, a grinder went down, that's understandable. If it's not something required for an immediate job to complete something, like your production is a standstill type of a thing, just wait. A week, 2 weeks, a month, you're probably going to have something cycle up on sale or a coupon that can apply. Go to town at that point. But with the 25% off, it was buy 4 items, you unlock 25% off. That's what we did here. This actually did count. And that took the $19.99 or 20 bucks down to $14.99 or basically 15 bucks, which I think is a great price for this. I will tell you, it is kind of sad to see this done up in the Icon line, and I say that for good reason. I'm a fan of Icon. I have their stuff. I've got their box, for frick's sake, right? I love the lockers. That's what sold me on it. Icon, they've recently released, not recently I guess, but the upgraded work light with the UV light and everything. It comes out in red. Their G2 ratchets are black and red. The older style Icon, which I've actually got one here. Okay. This little gem, which I run a lot of these. I usually actually flip them and invert everything. That work light finally frickin' came in some different anodized colors. You got blue, green, and red, if I recall. And that's my knock here. Number one, the Icon name on it jacks the price up. And number two, it's likely going to limit the color. It's not a big deal, right? It's going to do what you want it to. Hopefully hold stuff, keep you from scratching something, and maybe a better purpose. But I would like this to be in blue. I would like this to be in green, purple, any color but black and red, essentially. So you can kind of get the gist of it here. Hopefully you've been looking at that. You've got kind of a pair of channel locks, you've got 2 wrenches, got a socket equipped on a ratchet, you got some slip joint 3-position pliers, and a socket. Seems like a decent amount of weight, Question is, does it hold vertically, right? With this artwork, we don't know if that's a rendered image. We don't know if that's placed on a tool tray, horizontal, just like you see here, or is this on like the side of a cart, literally just defying gravity? We're going to have to open it up and test that. So let's see what they have to say. I, true story, have not even read this myself. So, designed to keep your hardware and tools easily accessible and secure. Again, you do not have to think of this as the image they have provided for you. If you've got a job, maybe you assess. So many people come in and just think of automotive tech. And that's a one-track mind. You see that over and over in videos online, even if the people have nothing to do with automotive repair or DIY stuff. And it's a shame they just regurgitate things everyone else says instead of thinking for themselves and coming up with applications for what they actually do, if anything, in their garage and how this could benefit them at work. You got to think outside the box. There's probably like crud your wife would come up with, and you're like, oh, it's actually kind of cool. Again, and at this price point, you're saving money. So whether this is like to protect the finish on the refrigerator, whether it's to hold fancy scissors, so many of you have wives in cosmetology. It's kind of crazy. So, anyway, again, think outside the box. Just don't spit out the same thing everyone else does. So if I'm seeing this image, I'm sitting here trying to think of things I do that this would benefit me. One of those things, shooting rivets. One of those things, I grab a whole boatload, I run to the bins, I grab all these bolts I can barely carry with the flats, the locks, and the nuts, and then I set them down, and if there's ever a jostling of anything side to side, clink, 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 everything I've stacked nice and orderly falls down, and it goes rolling. And if it falls off, it's amazing how far flats, especially flats primarily, can roll. Nuts, they always seem to just kind of go underneath something heavy and just out of reach where you have to bend down and grab pliers or get a magnet or something. Something like this would completely avoid all of that, right? And I'm not as concerned about the finish. Please don't throw this on a customer's fender, right? Same thing at work, like if you've got tons of hardware here, you could literally go get everything, come throw it down at your assembly station, and you've just got it there. Same thing if you get called out into the parking lot or you've got to go do something and you're like, hey, I'm going to need this, this, and this. I'm probably going to need these, pieces of hardware. Throw them on the mat, carry it out there. Throw the mat in your mobile bag. Throw the mat on a cart that you wheel over to the nearest overhead door type of a thing. Lots of options beyond the visualization they provide. Important note here, this thing is currently, I guess, their flagship offering, and something that I would assume if I was running Icon and Harbor Freight, I would treat this a little differently. This is 11 by 9. I think that's probably a very nice starter size. It's big. It's not too big to be cumbersome. It's not too small to basically be a one-trick pony. Again, little snap-on dots when you hop on the trucks, like super cool, but like I put this PB Swiss magnet on there and I filled up 25% of the work area, right? We could come in here, I've got this decorative nut. Those dots basically hold that. They hold a socket. It's kind of sad, especially when you consider the prices they charge you. So I think this is sort of their happy medium. If this does well, perhaps in addition to possibly getting better color options, we could see them come in and do a half size of this. Maybe the insane, stupidly small little dots, right? And maybe a larger, even, think of my bench mat here. A lot of you have something similar to this. A lot of people have like a fender cover type of a size, maybe scaled down just a smidge. There would be a lot of utility for a mat that size for a lot of people. And with this priced fairly reasonable at 20 bucks, if I like this, it turns out to hold tools well, serves me, useful over the years. If they come out with some like mat size piece, guess what? I'm going to be interested, especially if they maintain that price structure. I'd say that's roughly 2.5 times or so. So put it in that 40-45 range. I'm a buyer, especially again when there's a sale. Similarly, maybe this is a little too big. A half size of this coming in at 10 bucks. I think that's a seller. And again, it's kind of a question. Will they do that or won't they? Probably depends on the feedback. What I accustom this to, kind of same concept, different means to do it. Think of the blue US General silicone trays. You got the small, the medium, and the large. Where did I start? With the medium. You feel it out, see if you like it. Then you come in and you're like, hey, You know, a smaller one would have been great here. I haven't really had a need for a big one. Some of you might be the opposite. Man, this medium size is just too small. I should have bought the big one. It would have been perfect, and you'll never even think of the small. This, I think they did a good job with that footprint. I think 12 by 12 might be kind of a useful size, maybe like 8.5 by 11 type sheet of paper, legal pad, something along those lines. But 11 by 9, I think it's a good starting point. Power. High power, rare earth, magnetic mesh, conforms and holds firm to various surfaces. So that is good. Didn't know. Again, I've not messed with this thing. Fits in toolbox drawers for easy storage between jobs. Again, they're talking about storing it there between jobs, kind of throw it down so coworkers don't run off with it type of a thing. But think outside the box again. If you've been going through the motions of organizing your toolbox and you've got everything dialed in really well, but the one thing that haunts you is maybe your extensions, right? Maybe they're a little too big. You got some really long ones. Maybe you got some really short. You use all these tiny little adapters and reducers. And you're like, God, those things go everywhere, and I don't want to buy another box of 25 organizers for them. This is going to keep them in position, in place in your drawer. Similarly, if you've got like a quick pull-out drawer where you just kind of have like go-tos, wire cutters, needle nose pliers, frequently used sockets, you know, maybe 7/16, half, 9/16 wrenches, something ready to go, this accomplishes that as well. Right here they claim constructed with a durable, high abrasion resistant surface. That is a big deal. If you've got a really nice soft to the touch surface that tears, you're probably going to have magnets spilling out eventually, right? We do not want that. And again, they once again mention it adheres to curved surfaces such as finish. Why? Why? Again, this is many of the reasons why people like myself do our own work. I do not want to go out. Let's say that you've saved up and you finally bought your Hellcat. You got it used, got a killer deal. It has mods you like. It doesn't look like it's been ragged on too hard. And you take that sucker to the dealership and you're like, I just want to get peace of mind, make sure everything checks out. That used lot was kind of shady, you know. And if you're there and you watch or you come back and you're like, hey, I don't remember these scratches being here. Stuff like this. Again, I get it, there's protection, but I'm super careful and I run really thick fender covers over my own stuff. I could not imagine throwing something like this on the fender of a customer's car, right? That is insane to me. This is one of the reasons why it might be advantageous to get carbon fiber fenders, you know, to go race weight fiberglass, and then people can't do things like that, right? But they'll probably still try and still scratch it as everything just falls off, unbeknownst to the tech. But again, stuff like that just absolutely blows my mind sometimes. So maybe it's got great pull. It's not going through this mat. Again, I run thick kind of foam fender covers. I've got some stiffies from back in the day, and then I've got like the more modern ones that kind of just hug better. I don't know. You know, put this on your cart, put this on the lift, put it on an arm of the lift, the body of the lift, the side of a gantry, whatever, but don't throw it on someone's car. That kills me, right? Another thing, I'm thinking of that, you know, where people could put this. You're doing your own work. Maybe you're a field tech. Maybe you've got like the fold down tailgate. Maybe you've just got like bedside boxes and stuff. Something like this would be epic for that, because you don't have to worry about the finish. It's banged up. It's beat up. It's going to get banged up and beat up. But what happens? You can have the best diamond tread in the world and the socket just right? You know, you come out, you thought it was 14 millimeter, turned out to be 15, socket goes rolling. This stops that. So again, think outside the box. This is cool. 83 high power rare earth magnets included in the mesh surface. So assuming the magnets are worth anything, the fact you're getting 83 packed in to an 11 by 9 footprint, pretty nice. Again, they are going to claim there's a lifetime guarantee. The icon part number will be MGMAT. Flipping it around, nothing on the sides worth seeing. But to the back side, we have got what looks to be the side of maybe one of the early Icon carts or something. I say that because of the trim color there, but it's designed to keep tool and hardware, 11 by 9, fits in toolbox, constructed durable, abrasion, and that's the same exact stuff. But right here, this is what's important. If you're thinking, man, 11 by 9 is weird, well, look at this black area. That, I guess, is going to be the 11 by 9 because the overall dimensions will be 12 and 11/16 by 9 and 3/8. So do with that what you will. The outer shell material, for those of you that care, and there might be a few of you, it's going to officially be dubbed a durable polyurethane with high abrasion resistance. And after that, the internal sheet material is flexible magnetic membrane, tightly spaced magnets. Weight overall is going to be 1.9 pounds. I'm going to tell you something that I do like about this that I just discovered before I hit record. See where there's a tape line here, kind of the glossy part, and there's a tape line here? Take your pick, make a cut right there, and you're thinking like, well, that's not been opened up. You're correct, it hasn't, but this one has. So I was thinking this was going to be a total nightmare to open up. A lot of Icon stuff is. Again, that is all I did. I made a cut right there, and boom, we are in. So, haven't looked at the mat. I just pulled out this cardboard sandwich. I'm going to cover it there. I've got to say, it looks a lot like a mouse pad, kind of an oversized one. And it does stick if you listen. You can kind of tell the magnets are fighting me there. It is seeming like a pretty legit item here. Now, this is my first time having it away from the cardboard. That cardboard, I gotta tell you, is kind of a nice size. Whether you're painting, you stab some hardware through, it's cut nice, it's thick, I'd keep that if I were you. But here it is, the mat in hand. You got your Icon branding here again. Red and black's not the end of the world, but by their own standards, by their own assessments, this is their professional tool truck rival brand. Where are the other colors, right? This is a great angle right here because you can see all those dots. Those dots, those are magnets. You got magnet, 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 magnet. Looks like we're going to have two sizes here. So essentially, if you're rolling dice, this would be your 5 right here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Again, the inside piece is going to be smaller. So again, think of this as your 5 on the dice. If we come over here, you've got your next 5. And the catch is you're going to have the piece in the middle. So the larger magnet, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Let's now math that out with the number of columns we've got, or rows I should say, 8 across. Coming down, you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 8 times 6, 48, right? So now we know if we have 48 here and we're trying to get to 83, we would have a difference remaining of 35, which if we do this, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is the count on the small internal row magnet. What should we need? 35 and 5. What do they have in common to get where they're going? 7. If we know we had 8 across and we know internally we have this one that's not skipping. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Boom. That's the layout. That is your 83 magnets. Again, 8 by 6, 7 by 5, 48 and 35 is 83. We confirmed. They have what they said they'd have. Kudos for that. Now, in terms of funky shapement and movements, it does seem quite flexible. We're not tearing anything, so that is good. On the back side, I haven't seen it, you haven't seen it. Let's go together. Much to do about nothing. It is the exact same. I kind of thought it might have like a thicker material or you couldn't see the magnets as well. Makes perfect sense. They'd want it to stick, right? So it would need to be the same, but it is what it is. Now, what's going to be special here is this is twofold, right? You don't just have your stuff stick right here and then slide around on the back side. It's got to be magnetic on both fronts. That's sometimes difficult to do with magnets, right? So we're going to take this same decorative nut and it holds, right? But I'm going to leave that there. This is your Icon tag. That's important because when I flip this, the back side does not have any Icon branding. I'm going to drop this down. It holds. Now, in terms of funkiness, We can get a lot of flex in there. This is very lightweight, just nothing crazy at all. I think it's a 1/2-inch cap nut. So passes that test, right? That's good. That's what we wanted to see. Keep it time. Beloved 318 CBs and some protos. Decently weighted pliers, I'd say 1, 2, 3, 1 lightest, 3 heaviest. Okay, these are 318s, right? So that's a pretty good size plier. We're gonna pick it up. It's sticking to the one underneath it, and not the start you would hope for. The Kibas, though, hey, you know, the lightweight pliers. If you question my assessment, you're like, no way, those are the lightest. Now you probably believe me. Why? Because you saw 1, 2, 3, 3 and 2 coming right off, and 1 going down next. I'll have to demagnetize those later. I hate, for the most part, magnetic pliers. Alright, so this is totally random, and I'd slap this thing on the backside. Where we're at is the US General Master Tech, and I'd slap this on there. I thought, man, that's satisfying. I need to record that. But as I spun this out, I saw what looked like Cheeto dust, and I thought, man, I haven't had Cheetos out here in the shop. What's the deal? This is, again, the backside. This is the hinge on my cart, and I don't know that I can hold this mat and focus in on that. Just that glare is really screwing it up, but right, good lord. Let me just do this the old-fashioned way. Just take my word for it. Okay, we'll just go with that. That very end hinge pin, where it looks like, you know, it's like flaking off, it is. I had no idea that was happening. And, that is interesting. Other side's doing the same thing. I can see the mound of orange from here. So, curious if you also run a US General Master Tech. That's their full bank. People get mad when people say Master Tech. You're being deceptive. You're not ASE certified. That's what they started calling these. Like when they initially launched, this was their Master Tech service card. A lot of people, yeah, I've seen people do like innocent toolbox tours of their cart. They're super proud and happy, and then they just get these jerks in the comments going off on them. But that's what they called it. But the full bank US General, okay. Turn yours around, get to the back side in case, you know, you got it up against the wall or don't move it much. Let me know, is your hinge on the very end peeling off? Again, I've got a lot of weight on the lid, but I've never had any trouble with it, so that is interesting to see. Nonetheless, right down here below our little hooks, which yes, I do use those, they're there for a reason. I want you to get to hear this. Oh yeah, that was satisfying, I have to say. I'm gonna attempt, man, this is really hard to do one-handed. I want this to be square. Let me just try to go to the very... No idea what you were looking at, my apologies, but I want that to be square for that reason. You can instantly have sympathy for me when I complain about the color. That looks ridiculous. It's one of those things. I wish, you know, if this was US General, I would get this color of orange. Going Icon, one knock against Icon, really, in terms of their tool storage. They don't have anywhere near the color options of US General, which is kind of bizarre, right? But regardless, it's been a great card. I have no issues there. It's just, wouldn't it be cool if you could get that in your color of choice? And again, complementary colors for orange, blue, okay, green, purple, even black. Okay, like I think even if this was black, it wouldn't be as egregious of an eyesore. Just that red on orange, not my thing. That aside, it just proves my initial point. But I want to have some fun here. I want to know what this thing can do. And this is free storage, okay? I've got this little tray here, and currently this nests over an engine stand. But I can slap some stuff there. So I grabbed this. Just a little Gedore, 90-degree, old school. That will hold great. I have no concerns about that coming off. I mean, maybe if you go through potholes in your shop and you're going to bottom the card out first, right? This, I don't know what to expect. This is a Tool Check Plus. I don't know if the magnets are strong enough to catch and pull. I don't know if it's just going to fall off. We should probably bend down. Yeah, this might have been a bad idea. I don't feel calm. Now, if that didn't have plastic between the insulations, that weight right there, if I were to painstakingly pull every piece of that out, I have no doubt this mat could manage that. But with the plastic, it's got a little slide to it, but the magnets are strong enough to kind of give me a reassuring hold. Now again, with this, when I bring this fore and aft, if I move it up and down a little, I'm not concerned. I don't know that I'd want to roll this, you know, between bay 1 and bay 2 in the shop. I'm talking like hundreds of feet, but like just little quick movements or spin it around, grab something off the back, I think it's probably okay. So it is strong enough. Again, this is what it was up against, right? So it's basically probably catching those bits through the plastic, which is, I have to say, pretty impressive. It's gonna stay all freaking day. This is ideal for it. It's a long metal surface, no complaints. What I want to try next is pushing it. And I don't have high hopes or anything. But right here, I haven't had these out in a while. For a while, I was using these all the time. That's why they're so beat up. But little Husky sets. These are like spline drive wrenches. Doesn't really matter. What matters is they are 1/4 37/8, and they're kind of long, right? They're not like super short or stubby. They're actually a longer pattern. This is the back side. I have no idea what to think we're getting into here. And we won't be getting into much because that ain't happening. Okay. Now again, this had to fight through some unfortunate circumstances. Now I could keep this rolling, but I think I'll just do this off camera and I'll show you the end result. So 1 second. Oh no, he's pointing to the floor, but his other arm's holding something up. No. Check this out. Now, there's a caveat here. I've only gone 1/4 to 9/16. I've skipped nothing. The whole set's accounted for. That's a pretty decent starter set of wrenches there. Give me the equivalent, like 3/8, 7/16, half 9/16 realistically quick grab. Let me throw on like 8, 10, 13, 14 metric equivalents there. That is kind of cool, really. I'm not gonna lie. Again, this does not have to be on the back. It can be on the side. It can be on the interior. Something I kind of think might be cool with these mats is if you came in and think of the 4 and 5 drawer US Generals where the pry bar holders are exposed on the outside. You could stick one of these there and kind of mitigate scratching, right? Just something as simple as that. 15 bucks on sale. I think it's a good investment. But that is a pretty decent little set of wrenches for a lot of people, you know, hobbyist. You're not going to need anything bigger than that for a quick grab, right? Maybe 3/4, you know, but anything past that, you're kind of getting into like something a little more taxing. But we're going to come in, and it's going to get really hard on me to, man, I hate this holder. Good grief. 5/8 may have never been out of it. It's part of the problem. Okay, so that worked. Now, oh, so hard one-handed. We're getting to a point where like we've reached the dimensional limitations of this thing. I like to have the 7/8 at the bottom. I'm gonna try this 11/16. 3/4 been out a lot. And again, an ideal thing, to be fair to the mat, would be to give full wrench access. God, you stupid plastic piece of trash. Let's try this. This is, I will admit, unfair because I've kind of run out of real estate here, but I kind of think it might hold. All right. So I think if I had like 2 free hands, I could redo this and make it look a little bit more aesthetically pleasing. That is kind of cool. Again, no 15/16, no 1 inch. That is the whole set of these Huskies. Okay, empty tray, again, 1/4 to 7/8, 10-piece set. That means we got 10 wrenches here. And again, those are longer, not massive. Think of like Stavilla Series 13, you know, not like ridiculous long, but decent size. And check that out. That is pretty cool. So again, that's kind of an extreme example, but it shows the weight and sort of what this is capable of. So give me a little bit of time here and we're gonna see what it takes to overload this. All right, so once again, my apologies if these angles get weird as I pick things up and load them, but this is kind of dicey. This is a spring steel rail of 1/2 inch drive 12-point Kokens. And with the surface area available there, it's going to hold that just fine. Again, these aren't like the heaviest sockets in the world, but I mean, they are legit 1/2-inch drive. That's pretty cool. Again, I'm pretty confident I could come in and throw a 3/8 and 1/4 drive on this mat. And I don't think it's going anywhere. That's probably a good idea, but it is Icon. It is red and black, and even though it clashes terribly with our orange US General, we've got a G2. I'm just gonna try to get it there. Once it catches, the handle and the rubber guard kind of swung it differently. Same thing here with our 1/4. True story, I went in this weekend planning to buy the 1/2-inch locking flex head to complete. That's like 26 inches, a little longer than I'd like for a flex head, but I thought, it's not a bad deal at $120. There were like 4 of them in the store. I hated the ratchet action and feel of all of them, and so I didn't, and that's why I bought 2 mats, because I wanted the 25% off, and I figured these would be pretty good. And, so far, aside from my initial complaint line, it is. Here's the Matco that just doesn't function, and it's going to hold that okay. I've got a Capri here. The biggest issue will just be, do we have space? Yeah, so that's totally not what I would like to see aesthetically. I think we could kind of clean that up if we wanted to, especially if you had 2 mats or a bigger mat, but that's pretty cool. Now, I'm going to go, and I'm actually going to see what other 1/2-inch, or spring steel anyway, I can find, and that would be like a really kind of cool setup. So 1 second, and we'll keep taxing this sucker. All right, so we are back. I've got, if you're wondering, like, what are these doing on spring steel, you loser? Oh, well, Koken spring steel is not terrible, but more importantly, I haven't had time to place an order with Ernst. I've got like a lot of things I'm wanting, and then I keep inevitably adding new tools, and you know, I try to get it right one time. So 1/2-inch 12-point SAE. That held great as well. Sadly, I didn't have 3/8, but I do have these little 1/4 12 points, and that's a good chunk of weight for this thing, I'm not gonna lie. This is gonna have sockets hanging off the side even, so shout out to the magnet there. I just grabbed this. I kind of thought that would be a lot of weight for it. These are 3/8 drive, semi-deep, thin wall, so not like super taxing. Dude. That is, aside from the red, that really does bother me. That is pretty impressive. Now, when I said we were going to overload this thing, I was just doing like the ratchets as kind of a bonus. This is what I actually brought to overload it. I was thinking, what's the heaviest, most cumbersome thing that would actually be practical to throw on there? This is the Mac Precision Torque expander set, right? So 1 inch up to 1.25 inches. Those are 5 long wrenches that are also pretty thick, pretty heavy. This has not dropped down at all. That is in the exact position we left. That is legitimately impressive. Where this might seem weird to you, like, man, people are going to jack my sockets. I don't want my stuff out to get stolen. Picture that on your lid. It ain't going to change anything. Now, turning it vertically, I have to wonder, you know, essentially picture that coming 90 degrees at us, right? I'm inclined to say this stuff will hold. Don't hold me to it, but I think it would. So I'm going to pull this off and get the wrenches on there, see what happens. All right, I'm kind of wanting to get in and see the end of the Bills and Ravens, but I don't really have the surface area here to do this justice. With the offset on these, it's kind of weird. So I'm going to try to be as fair as I can to the mat and give it the most surface area. We're going to start with a 1 inch. And, I hope this thing holds, because it's probably going to scratch at the finish if it doesn't. Here's the 1 1/16. Again, I totally as fair as I can, putting the offset to the outside. And yes, I do know a mat beside it to run them horizontal, or a mat underneath it would be very nice. 1 1/8. And then we're going to come in 1 3/16 here. Oop, it's getting kind of dicey. This is the last one. This is the 1 1/4 again, flipping the offset to be as fair as we can to the mat. And I literally can't do more because the surface area is just a limitation. I'm scooting it in to get it off of that rubber, and I'll be darned, it's holding. So, that is impressive. Again, I don't really like that setup because I would prefer to have protecting on the open end. You're going to come and grab those and inevitably gall into the finish of your box. But this would hold them this way. If I bust that other one out, it's going to hold them horizontal too, I think. So this is better than I thought it was going to be based on those early bench tests. So 1 second, let's have some more fun. Right, you're thinking, what in the world have you done this time? Well, got the second one out. Yes, we really do have the two. I could not fit the 5th wrench, like literally it doesn't fit. We'd need like another series of mats in this orientation. But dude, that's a lot of weight there. That's basically inch and a 16th, inch and an 1/8, inch and 3/16, quarter drive Koken set, SAE in metric, half-inch Koken, SAE in metric, and the mats have not moved at all. So that is pretty cool, I'm not gonna lie. All right, so change the orientation here, and yeah, that is nuts. Again, you know, if you're at home, not a big deal. If you're at work, might not want these wrenches on the back. But let's say that you just bought like a ridiculously sized Pittsburgh wrench set or some cheap Sunex thing for like a very seldom used deal, and it just takes up too much space in your box or your drawers, and you're like, man, I wish I could put that somewhere. There you go. Like, this is really kind of nice, I'm not gonna lie. Again, color, yes, still objective to me, but it's pretty impressive. So I'm gonna rip these off and I'm gonna test a couple more things and see if we can't find some more utility for these. All right, what you're looking at with that glossy plastic lid is actually a set of Astro swivel sockets in foam. It wanted to hold them, but it was just, I think the foam is too thick. Now the carb cleaner, very low, the WD-40 low, Balstal is not full either, but pretty impressive. What I'm going to do now is try to snake some acetone in, and this is very full. I have probably 3/4 or so of the jug on there. These are legit. I am a happy guy, I have to tell you. We're going to take this stuff off and see what mess we get into. Alright, I've not tried this. We're going to freehand it. This is the holder, right? It's going to insulate a lot of the wrench from that. Yeah, so that's not going to happen, yet we know it would without the plastic. So could we find the tipping point here? I think we could, but I'm hot and I want to get inside. I'm looking at some crank handles for the gantry crane. You know, in that regard, let's kind of test the conformity of this. Again, their words to irregular surfaces. Let's put that to the test to see what we think of it. Alright, so I'm not saying I would do this, but it does kind of give you a visualization of things you could do a little out of the norm. This is on the inside of the Icon locker. You're looking back at the box and the reflection. If I do that, I've got this little, you know, thrown together rail from a salvaged custom cut Ernst that I just put a bunch of KTC extensions on. If you're thinking, yeah, that's pretty cool. Well, what if I use these all the time? What if I constantly am using a 12 and a 4 and like a little adapter? Well, let's maybe get these out of the box where they're kind of awkward. And boom, right? We've got a socket rail there. Maybe we want this one as a wobble. Boom. They are kind of rolling weirdly, I'm noticing with that for the first time. Nothing else has done that. We want our little 1/4 to 3/8 adapter. And now let's go 3/8 to 1/4. How about that? And then we want a 1/4 inch extension as well. There you go. Obviously that might fight you a little bit in terms of your dream placements, but you can make it work. Same thing, throw some sockets there, throw some ratchets there. you've created what was otherwise just wasted vertical space is now providing you utility. Similarly, let's try this, okay? This could result in loud crashes, is what I was about to say. But it's important that we see what it does. All right, my apologies. This is a terrible place to film, but you can't tell I've got a transmission linkage stabbing me in the thigh right now, so space is at a premium here. This is adhering fine to the gantry crane upright. So I could come in here and conceivably, especially where this has the backing of the post, I could put virtually anything we wanted to. This could be angle grinder keys, scrapers, clamps for the welding table. What I was hoping is this would fold at like a 90 degrees, whether maybe I couldn't do it on the big row of magnets, but I needed to go in the middle. The spacing on this is just not quite right for this. If I come in and you're like, yeah, that will be so cool to have, you know, both sides of it. See what happened there? She sprung. So same thing, it springs. Knowing what we know about how well this thing works, I'm kind of okay with that. It would provide me nice options for other things. Again, your strongest point is going to be where you've got the metal behind it. But in this case, what would really be great is a smaller iteration of this product, right? Or one that maybe didn't have quite as many magnets, maybe not quite as strong across the board, but had a bigger row where it would conform even better to a weird shape. So yeah, I'm ready to wrap this up, call it a night, but I've got to tell you, these did wind up being rather impressive. The initial bench testing was of a concern. They have alleviated that. Again, I'm sure we can find a point where it's going to pull down like everything usually does, but with this size, and given the fact I'm able to stick 1 1/4 inch precision torque, which that is a big wrench. I'm talking it's extended length, right? I could grab 1 1/4 inch Stavilla from this drawer. It is nothing like that. It's thinner, it's much shorter. That is impressive, and to hold that full expander set says a lot about the capabilities and strengths of this when positioned ideally. When you don't maybe give this the full support it needs, it's going to limit its holding capacity, understandably. At the price we got it, which again was 25% off the MSRP of $20, this is great. I think this is completely fair at $19. I'd still advocate for you to wait and catch it on sale, even if it means a month or so without it. I will continue though my knock. This is Icon, and that means like this right here. This is an Icon box. What do I want? I want blue. Some of you might have the green and black Icon box. You would want green. So if you got the red box, I'm sure you're fine. You know, maybe you wanted it to have like chrome piping or something, you know, silver of some sort. But I do think they need to expand the color offerings on this. Again, it is their professional line. If they don't want to do that, they need to come up with a US General equivalent where they can do that, and that's what I would buy, okay? And I'm sure what many of you would do as well. But I gotta say, this is great. I'm thinking the reason I bought two, again, I talked myself out of the 1/2 inch locking flex head G2. Just wasn't happy with the way any of them felt or performed in store. There were only 4, but still. Opted out of that. I was fine with 1/4 and 3/8, so I'm going to stick with those for now. But I think I'm going to take one of these to work tomorrow and go to town. Again, this is going to be great for the underside lid of the US General Master Techs, in my opinion. Same thing, 4-drawer and 5-drawer US General cart people. This is also right at home on your Maximizer, your little Snap-on Epic cart, or whatever. Like, this is just a better value than you're going to get elsewhere. If you got to have the colors, I get it. You know, it's just going to come down to you saying, is it worth $50 more or $60 more to get roughly the same size mat and same performance with different colors? That's where you kind of have to draw the line. For me, it's not. And yes, I will still complain about it though. But I think this is great. I would love to see, I don't know what the market is for the tiny ones. I really don't. I'm sure some people love them. If whatever you're doing with those, feel free to leave it in the comment. Make it make sense to me and probably some other people. But I get seeing it, you know, one thing, but like the price you're charged for that, I can't fathom it. But I think they should. They need to expand this, maybe a half size, maybe a third size, some sweet spot in there, fourth it, sixth it, I don't know. The price needs to stay proportional because this is a great value. If we could divide this, put 2 divinations here and 2 here, and essentially make 6 pieces, I think that would be about as small as I would want to go. In that case, on the gantry crane, I buy a pack of this that has the 6 squares. I just run them up and down the thing, and I accomplish the same as this on the smaller footprint. That would be my advice. And then I don't know how much bigger you go. Again, the surface area available would really be the only end-all to it. So like on my locker door, if I could line the whole locker door in one of these that was blue stitched and said Icon, I would probably do it, at least on one of them. This has a lot of potential as long as they keep the price in check. And in my genuine, and I don't say this as a hater, right? Like, I've got too many videos of this stuff to be a hater. I just call out what sucks. The Bauer jigsaw is a piece of trash. Okay, this thing needs to be available in colors, or it should have been US General and offered in the different colors. But at the end of the day, this is really, really good. Now, I'll have to see how it holds up. You know, I could wind up, you know, throwing extensions on it at work, and I tear it on, you know, week 2, and I'm like, man, this is a piece of trash. It should be way more durable than that. Until that happens, the initial bench impression, I like it. So again, this is why I do timestamps. You know, I could pass it off and just praise this thing in 7 minutes like everyone else and their dog. I've got to test it. I've got to know what it does. And before I endorse it or review something, I need a lot of seat time. I need to know what this thing is like in 3 months, 6 months, a year and a half, 3 years later. Is it falling apart? Is it still mint? Is it filthy but functional? All those things matter, and I can't call something a review until I've had that seat time. That's why this is an unboxing, an initial impression, a tool haul, if you will. So again, that's how I do things. I've been here a long time, and I don't change what I do. So I would highly recommend this, especially 20 to 25% off. I don't think it's a bad deal at the 20 bucks. It's just, if you know you can eventually get it for a little bit less, and you don't have to have it, I advocate that you wait and save, and the savings eventually will buy you another full mat, right? So that's how it is. I will have this thing linked. I don't make a dime off of that. It's there for your convenience, or if you can't get to the store like I can't. Again, 20 bucks is the MSRP. I think it's a solid deal. On sale for 15 is a really good buy given the size and what turned out to be the capabilities of this thing. So make more colors, make some different size offerings, and I think this becomes a staple in Harbor Freight tool storage options. So with that said, let me know your thoughts based on this video. I'm sure some of you ran out and picked it up immediately. Maybe you're like me and you cashed in on the 25%. Nobody's going to have had this thing for more than like a week. I'll release this on Wednesday. And so people have had it like 5 days at that point, maybe. So keep that in mind. If somebody says this is the greatest thing since sliced bread, keep in mind that's currently. You don't know how it's going to hold up yet. But I do have to say it seems decent. Now, I'm not a materials expert, right? But until I tear this or something I do, maybe hex keys of all things, I rip one off and it's like really held down. If I start tearing into that, I need to see what the detriment is, what the damage is going to be. Does it work great horizontal then, but not vertically because the magnets want to sheet out and tear the fabric more? All that will be revealed over time. But right now, if you're interested, I suggest you give it a go. And again, but let Harbor Freight know. Emails, reviews on their website, social media, whatever that you want to see, like me, additional colors. Because it's just such a shame. Like, if I wanted a red box, I would have bought a red box, right? This is blue. It would look great in blue stitching, blue piping. I'll quit on that front. I do hope you enjoyed. I hope you learned a little something. As I mess with this thing at work and at home, if I found any shortcomings, or like, man, you won't believe what I put on there today, I'll be sure to update you in future videos. But with that said, I'm going to get inside, see the end of the game, work out, shower, and start another work week. So hope you enjoyed, hope you learned a little something. If you have not subscribed, I encourage you to do so. LoneStarMopars.com is the website. You can find us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all 3 at Lone Star Mopars. With that said, thanks so much for watching, and I hope I catch you back here for more from the shop.